So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Today, I would like to discuss with you a topic of overcoming this mental rut as a guy because you see a lot of advice out there about making money and going to the gym and getting off porn and just, chasing greatness and whatnot. And whilst all that is great, and I'm not denying the import, like we are basically all chasing it, right? Because if you're watching this video, then most likely you're trying your best to go after something. You have this big dream, this vision of your dream life or whatever, and you're just like trying to pursue it. But what do you actually do in the moments when you just feel so like that, when you hit this rock bottom, when you don't even feel bad anymore? It's like it's just whatever, right? Those moments when you just sit there, you stare out of the window, or just stare at your wall, and you just don't think about anything. Sometimes you have some negative thoughts, some positive thoughts, but then it's like it fades off and you just don't basically have anything constructed inside of your head. So you're just basically sitting there and just letting minutes and hours go by. And so in this video, I'm gonna try to answer this question and just going to basically share things that have helped me on my journey and something that has pulled me out of this rut. Honestly, the biggest and the worst one in my life, because I'm describing it as a person who basically like just a couple of days, maybe like a week ago, I was trying to get out of it, and it was really bad because I don't even know how to explain this. It's not that I was feeling bad. I just didn't care about anything, right? I was still going to the gym and doing all those habits, but I didn't see the reason in doing them, right? And if you clicked on this video and you relate to any of the things that I've just described, then make sure to stick around, because I really believe that those simple yet powerful things that I'm going to share with you can really, really help you and pull you out of this rut. At first, let me just clarify once more. I'm not going to talk about quitting porn. I'm not going to talk about going and starting online businesses. I'm not going to talk about making money and talking to girls and whatever. Like, all of those things are just obvious. Like, this is the base. You're probably already chasing something like that, and you're thinking about going out there and doing something with your life. I'm going to give you the 4 action steps that I've used for myself and that you can utilize in order to actually make the change today. Not something that you can do later on, not something that you can buy, not something that you can do, like whatever. The things that I'm going to give you, you can literally start doing right after you're done watching this video. And if you really want to get deep into it and try to fix something and basically do this little bit of self-reflection and work, then you can check the description. I'm going to leave a link to this sort of like a cheat sheet that I created for you. It's completely for free. You can just copy and paste it into your Notion page or whatever and just try to answer the questions that I've listed there. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is you need to learn to stick to your promises. If you'll be completely honest with yourself, do you actually believe what you say? Do you actually stick to all the promises that you make to yourself, to your parents, to your friends, to whatever? And I'm talking about the promise that you make to your mom about cleaning the house, all the way to the promise that you make to yourself about waking up at 7 in the morning tomorrow. I think you get what I'm saying. The point is that you have to trust your own word and stop promising things that you know you cannot do or you're not sure about. So basically, you just need to start promising to yourself and actually do the things that you promised that you're gonna do. Because I just remember the time when I would promise to myself to wake up at 6 in the morning and be productive and not touch my phone until I get something done. And then when the morning comes, the snooze button would be hit like 3 times. I would wake up at 8 or 9 a.m. and then I would take my phone and sit on the toilet for like 30 minutes scrolling on Instagram. I'm sure that a lot of people relate to this, and this is something that you really want to avoid. And this is where the power of making promises to yourself and sticking to them comes in. If there's one thing that you take from this video, let it be this one. Just learn to stick to your promises. That's it. Because most of the time, you probably have the right thoughts into your head. You know what you have to do, but you just don't do it. But if you learn to trust yourself and you promise like, okay, tomorrow I'm going to wake up at this time, I'm not going to hit the snooze button, I'm just going to wake up and read like 5 or 10 pages straight away, right? And if you actually believe what you say, you're going to do it, you're going to end up at a better place. But most of people, and including me to a recent period, I just didn't trust my own words and I just didn't do what I said I was going to do. And so it basically kept me inside of this rut because I just simply couldn't take the action to get out of this rut. Hopefully that makes sense, right? Now, the thing that is important to remember, and that is something that screwed me over many times, is that you don't want to make too big of a promise, right? When you're on the path of learning to trust yourself, you usually would like you promise something, you did it, and then you're like so motivated, you believe in yourself, and then you go and you then bite off more than you can chew. So for example, when I was really like at the beginning of learning about productivity and trying to do all of that, I would make those huge promises to myself about waking up at 5 a.m. and taking a cold shower and then meditating for 30 minutes and reading 10 pages of a book, then working for 5 hours on my bed. So, you don't want to make those, you want to really avoid those large promises, because most likely if you're at the beginning stage and you haven't done anything, you probably are not going to be able to do it. Like, you just don't have the capacity to work for 5 hours. So don't I. I'm just trying my best to learn, but for now, I admit that I don't have the capacity to sit through in the work for 5 hours straight without distraction, right? I position myself probably like, I don't know, level 3, 4 out of 10, maybe even less, because what I usually do is when I have school, I wake up at 5 to 6 a.m., then I take my cold shower, I meditate, I do all of those things, but then it's like I have to go to school, and after school, I don't really have the capacity to work for so long. So, when you're at the beginning stage, you don't really want to make those huge promises to yourself and say like, okay, this is the 2025 has started. I'm going to take cold shower every single day, meditate every single day, work every single day. The gym is going to be 6 times a week. I'm going to repeat myself. You really want to avoid those large promises, because most likely you're not going to stick to them, because you're just simply not capable to do that yet. What I propose you do is that you make some kind of small promise. For example, you're going to wake up at 7. If you usually wake up at 10 or 11 a.m., promise to yourself that you're going to wake up at 8 a.m. and actually get up and don't hit the snooze button. If your usual wake up time is 10 a.m., then you don't have to wake up at 5 a.m. because it's not nearly impossible for you. You can do it once, but are you going to stick to it? Probably not. So what you probably want to do instead is to try to decrease it by every week or every month or so. If you wake up at 10, then wake up at 8. If you wake up at 8, then try to wake up at 7, maybe 6:30, right? So you don't really want to jump straight into the hardest thing. If you're going to be able to hit it once, you're probably not going to stick to it, and you're just going to break the promise to yourself, which is going to lead the second order consequences, going to lead for you just getting back into this rut in the first place. As simple as it sounds and as generic as it sounds, the best way to actually make progress is just taking small steps, but over a longer period of time. You just need to extend the time horizon, which honestly has been a huge problem for me personally. Now, the second thing, which has helped me a lot, and now we're just going to get into sort of like action steps and things that you can actually start to do, is you want to double down on learning. Now, you're watching this video and you're learning something. Probably you watched some videos before, maybe you just read some articles or you just listen to podcasts. Really double down on that. But don't watch fucking Instagram reels and those little life hacks and tools or whatever. Get off TikTok, get off Instagram, get off YouTube Shorts, get off all this bullshit. Install these apps that you have that you can install to your browser. For example, Unhook that I use, so that you don't really have the like recommendation feed. I'm gonna show it on the screen somewhere here. And the reason why you really want to get off of like spending your time watching short form content is because it's just simply really bad for your dopamine receptors, and this is something that takes away. You're just basically borrowing happiness from tomorrow, as Tim Ferriss says it. And the reason why I say that this is borrowing happiness, and the reason why I said that this is borrowing happiness from tomorrow is because you should basically, it's the same thing as delayed and instant gratification. We're going to talk about that later on. It's another huge thing. But really what you want to do is focus on the long-term content. You want to watch videos that are not less than 20 minutes. Listen to a long podcast, and not just like all the podcasts, like some entertaining ones or whatever. The podcasts that I personally listen to, those are two that I mostly focus on, is Huberman Lab podcast. You can learn so much about your health, about the tools that can help you to improve your health, and honestly, he can probably teach you even better than I can about getting out of the mental rut and the mental health thing and everything else. So about all those questions, you just go and you search Huberman Lab and you just listen to podcasts that you can find useful, right? And the second podcast that I listen to is called Modern Wisdom. So if you listen to those two, I think you're set up pretty much. Amongst all of the other podcasts that I listen to, those two are my favorites, and I've been following them for like a year at this point. It's basically the best thing that you can have in terms of media content and learning. Another huge thing is reading books. And not just like any books, or like I have this fiction book. It's the only fiction book that I've read in my life. It's called The Alchemist. Probably many of you have heard of it. And it's really inspirational and cool and everything. But what you really want to focus on is the non-fiction books. I have literally 4 books below this camera holding it. I have another one right here and like 5 or 6 above my head. I really struggled to read them till the end, but right now I'm focusing on this book called Money Master the Game. I don't know if I mentioned it in my previous video, but anyways, you just really want to try to focus on the real stuff. You just really want to try to make books the source of education instead of source of entertainment. Maybe some people will disagree with me, but this is my personal point of view. And even though I really enjoyed reading like you can read it really quick. You can, like the words are easy. You can just sit and get through it in like, I don't know, couple of hours if you're an experienced reader, but I read it for like 2 weeks or so. But when you take this huge book like Money Master the Game or 40 Laws of Power or Atomic Habits, you're not going to be able to read it in 2 hours. It's hard, it's challenging for your brain. It's just not something that you can mindlessly read about. You have to actually think about it when you read, and it makes it harder, but at the same time it makes it educational and it makes it really, really beneficial for you. So yeah, reading books is the first place, and the second place is listening to really long-term podcasts which are not about some random degenerate stuff and just basically the boring nerdy shit that you can actually use to improve your life. And the reason why I believe that you actually have to learn something always, like you cannot stop, you have to learn something every day, like just go on with it for life, is because, well, first of all, you're just going to have this feeling of making progress, right? You're just going to feel like you have not wasted your day entirely. If you have just read like 10 or let's say 20 pages of non-fictional book, you're just going to feel at least not as bad as you could if you just did anything. You're just going to have this sense, you're just not going to feel like shit at least. I think that reading is really, really one of the most important parts of self-improvement. Yeah, just life in general, because reading is learning, and you just all constantly have to learn to just not fall into this rut again. And on that note, moving on to the third point, and I'm just gonna go briefly through that because it's pretty obvious and everyone's talking about it. It's that you have to avoid instant gratification, basically. I talked about YouTube Shorts, Instagram, TikToks, and all those things. And not just because they're like bad for you or something, which is the case, but also there's a lot of softcore porn. I personally have not scrolled on TikTok or Instagram or YouTube Shorts for like a year and a half, maybe 2 years at this point. I literally don't even have a TikTok account. But from what I remember and from what my friend literally texted me like a couple of days ago, that he has this like only like the softcore porn in his recommendations in YouTube Shorts. And I really thought about it and I'm like, bro, like this algorithm is literally trying to eat your brain alive. Like it's just trying to kill you. I don't know. I just don't even have words to describe how bad it is for you. And if you are indulging into this thing, that this is the thing that you should have as absolute priority to quit as fast as possible. Because listen, if you indulge into porn or into softcore porn, which is the same thing in my opinion, you just don't basically, it's like you're just trying to fool your brain, but at the end of the day, you still know what you're doing. If you're addicted to those things, that there is no dialogue about learning, about keeping promises to yourself and all those things. Because if you're addicted to that, then this is literally the worst thing that you can do to your mental health, to your brain, to your like whatever, especially as a guy. So yeah, just get off of it, forget about it, and just, I don't know, just don't ever come back to it again. Just trust me, it's going to be the best change that you will make in your entire life. This is coming from a person who has not been scrolling on Instagram Reels or TikToks or YouTube Shorts for like a year and a half at this point. And I can tell you with certainty that this was literally one of the two best decisions that I've made in my life. Another decision is going to the gym and starting the fitness thing. And so I truly do believe that getting off of its scrolling addiction is literally one of the best, if not the best thing that you can do to your life in this day and age. And so moving on to the last point of this video is that you have to start to move more. And like literally that's it. It's that simple. If you go to the gym 2-3 times a week, go 6 times a week. Literally, just go insane. Just go and train as much as possible. Rest, train, eat enough. Just make some kind of progress in the gym. It's going to empower you so much. Like if you make progress in the gym, there is no chance that you're not going to make progress in other areas in your life. Like trust me. When I don't make progress in fitness, which I didn't for, I don't know, last 6 months probably, and only in the last couple of weeks I started really focusing on that, my life has like basically skyrocketed in terms of my productivity skyrocketed. I started to read books more often. I started to, just work better and feel better in general, and my mental health improved and everything just basically went up. And yeah, I'm not talking about some like clinical stuff, but just trust me, if you have like ADHD or if you have whatever the fuck, if you just go to the gym and you train and you make progress and you do all of those things, then you will feel so much better. Just trust me. You see me smiling because this is truth. It brings me so much joy seeing the progress and seeing just me posing after a good session, and just, probably those of you who go to the gym will relate, and this is literally the best feeling in the world. And yeah, just to finish off with this point, I'm gonna say that if you move more, it's like there are tremendous benefits for your mental health, for your physical health, for your dopamine receptors. You can listen to Huberman Lab podcast, as I mentioned before, and search some podcast about moving and walking and just basically exercising and being healthy. You're going to hear about moving your body, and you know it exactly. Like, be honest with yourself. You know that you have to move more. If you're sitting a lot, or if you're just not really that of a movable person, some people are, they just don't like to move a lot. I understand it, and yeah, that's completely fine, but just force yourself to literally get out of your house for 10 or 15 minute walk at least like 2 times a day, maybe go to the gym, just do at least something. I'm really being somewhat insane with it because I don't know, I just really enjoy moving. Some people are not like that. Make sure that the blood is circling in your body and you just don't feel as though you're fucking depressed and you just want to kill yourself or something. As Andrew Huberman says, you cannot calm the mind with the mind. You have to use your body, because if when you're overthinking, when you're in this rut, when you just feel really down, you just stand up and you walk or you run and you go to the gym or you do a couple of push-ups. It's really gonna help you, like literally this second. If you start to have some bullshit thoughts in your head, you just jump on the floor and do like 10 push-ups, you're going to feel at least a little bit better, like instantly. So yeah, if you stuck around until this moment, then I just want to say thank you, and make sure that you go and check out that cheat sheet that I created for you. I really do believe that those questions have the potential to turn your life around if you really go in depth and you answer them with honesty. Again, being really like brutally honest with yourself. And again, I'm just going to point out that those are the lessons that I've learned through my journey and something that have helped me to get out of the mental rut. I'm sure that this list is going to expand. Maybe some things are going to be removed, some things are going to be added the next time I need to get out of the rut. But yeah, for now, that's it. And if you found this video valuable, then make sure to leave a like and consider subscribing to this channel. Leave something down in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.